Hey, on today's podcast, I'm going to talk to you about the things you can do to be clear about what your next step actually needs to be. Welcome to the Intentional Success Podcast, where we unpack the top strategies, explore business trends, and drill down into best practices to help your live events production business grow and scale on purpose. I'm your host, Tom Stimson. So I work with small business owners all the time. You know that, right? Let me tell you, their businesses are noisy, and that's the challenge of being in a small business. That's the challenge of running your own company, is there are so many noise generators that are around you all of the time. There's lots of demands from customers. You've got employees that want to go this direction or that direction. You have unreconciled processes that create challenges. You find yourself doing the same work over and over again, and it doesn't get better. And rarely do you get a chance to kind of sit back a little bit and figure out, what is it I should be doing next? You know, I'm so busy every single day when I get up and get to work that I don't have time to work on my business. And even if I did have time to work on my business, I don't know what that looks like. So how am I going to make time for something when I don't actually know what it is? And this is the fundamental strategy question for small business. And many people think that small businesses are not strategic, and this is not true. Small businesses need to be strategic because the less strategic you are, the more noisy your business is, the more the little things distract you, the harder it is to make a decision in the given moment because you haven't given yourself the direction about how to run your business. Let's face it, we're winging it. I'm winging it. You're winging it. We've all done this, but strategy will help us get a little bit better. So I just want to tease you a little bit about how to start thinking about strategy so that when you find that bandwidth and you make that time, you at least have a place to start. Now, when I'm interviewing a new client, a new prospective client, of course, I want to ask your business. How'd you get into the business? Our origin stories tell us a lot. So how did you get in the business? Oh, what kind of shows do you do? Oh, well, we do this. Who are your customers? Well, and then it starts to get a little fuzzy, right? So one of the first things we do when we're starting to sit down and think strategically is think about what business are we actually in? And this is a much harder question than it sounds, because many of you, matter of fact, the smaller you are, the more likely you are to be in multiple businesses and not realize it. All right. So you've got rental equipment. So you're in the rental business, right? You got to keep this stuff moving. If somebody calls, it's available, you rent it to them. You're in the rental business. You'd like to be doing shows because then you get a bigger rental out of it and the numbers are bigger and you can make more money in less time. So yeah, of course I'm in the show production business and the show services business. Do I need to create content? Yeah, I love creating content. Hey, let me help you with your PowerPoint. Let me produce this video for you. Are you in specialty rentals? Do you have some unique product? Are you developing, here we go, computer network systems for show sites? Are you doing Wi-Fi distribution? Are you doing extremely custom LED walls or decor or scenic that nobody else has? These are specialties, but there are also rentals or services that are different from your equipment rental, your show production services, your content creation, your design. Those are all potentially different bits of business because very rarely are they all part of the same project. You may have the same customer who buys all of them, but very rarely are you going to find all of those things on the same project. And it's more complicated than that because if you sell product, the local school calls and they need to buy a microphone, you sell them a microphone. Now you're in the sales business. That's another line of business. They want something installed. They want to buy a video projector and a sound system. Have you install it in an auditorium? Now you're in the integration business, right? Now, are these good or bad? Doesn't matter. Are you intentionally in these businesses? Do you understand how to do well in these businesses? Do you also understand that their revenue numbers are completely unrelated? Because the cost of goods sold, the gross profit for each one of those 7 areas that I talked about are all completely different. So a dollar of rental revenue is worth probably more than a dollar of creative revenue because your costs on the creative revenue are higher. Okay. A dollar of sales is worth a pittance of what a dollar of show services is worth. Right. So we need to understand this because this affects what we talk about next, which are who are your customers. Customers, again, this can be really noisy because many folks don't think about who their customers are. They think about the person, they think about the types of jobs that they have, how quick they are to pay. But the fact is, if you're in rental, you will deal with end users. Somebody rents a video projector to use for themselves at a birthday party in their backyard as an end customer. That is an end user, right? They pick it up at your dock and they use it. An end customer is a corporation, an association, an institution, or some other entity that buys. If they write you the check, they are the customer. Agencies are third parties that get between you and the end customer, and sometimes even the end user, right? So an agency is somebody who comes to you and you pay the agency, okay, and they control the relationship with the customer, okay? Now, B2B, business to business, you have local partners, people that you rent from, they rent from you. Maybe you provide services, maybe you sub out a piece of work on their show. This is all good, right? And then there are things like promoters and touring. There are all sorts of ways to generate income through all different types of buyers, but they're not all the same, okay? And this is strategically important. All right, now that we're starting to sort out, how many businesses we have and how many different types of customers and which of these customers buy which of these types of goods and services, right? Because some customers buy more than others. Now we can start to get a sense of where's the highest and best use of our time. And if you can narrow that down, okay, to where you can be more effective, you're already thinking strategically. See? Hey, we just made some progress. Now, how do I reach those ideal customers out of that list? Okay. If end customers are in your target profile and you want to work with end customers and have the corporation write you a check, you're probably going to deal with third-party agencies like a meeting planner, an event planner. They may have their own internal event planners or producers at that, or they may just have somebody who got stuck with the job of finding somebody to do the AV for the corporate event, right? That customer is not the same customer that is going to hire you to do a concert, right? So how do you reach those people that buy that way? And there's a number of ways to do that because what I described are channels, and there's multiple channels for most of these segments. Now, B2B, the channel is pretty simple. It's direct. If you're marketing to B2B, you're finding companies that are going to rent directly from you who are in the same industry as a very small pool of people, and you know exactly who to contact. Easiest one of all. Matter of fact, we don't even have to do that. They just find us, right? Now, how do I reach these people? That's going to be an important part of working on your business. What do they want to see? If I reach them or they find me, what are they looking for in me? For instance, if you're trying to court agencies and they see all that work you do directly with end clients, which is also who they're going after, agencies don't want to see that. They don't want to see that they've gotten to the end customer before you've gotten to the end customer before they did. All right? That's going to matter to them. If an end customer sees that you deal with end users, they go, oh, wait a minute. We need somebody who's more focused on our business and not somebody who's running stuff off their loading dock. Right? So there's a whole lot of things that we have to consider when we think about how we're going to outreach to these people and what it is that they're looking for when they find us. Okay. And then we have to think about how do they ascribe value? What's important to them? Where do they, what will they pay more for? What won't they pay more for? B2B is not going to pay more for anything. That is the lowest margin. Well, they're almost as bad as promoters. Promoters are probably the worst, but don't send me hate mail. B2B is wholesale, right? They're just buying on price. And they can't get the best price from you. They're going to get it from somebody else unless it's an emergency. And you better help them out because when you have an emergency, you need their help, right? So set that all aside. What is valuable to these buyers? And if you're selling on price and somebody's trying to buy quality and all they see on your website is price, 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 they may not even contact you. So we have to think about those things. Now, that brings me to, capacity and your superpower. What are you actually good at? Okay. Can you have an honest conversation with yourself about where you are consistently successful? What are you good at? And what do you struggle with? Okay. Now, you have that. You have your customers. You have your products and services. You have your lines of business. It's too noisy. Great. What are you going to de-emphasize? I didn't say stop doing it. It's really hard to stop doing things. It's really hard to fire a customer. It's really hard to turn down work. It's really hard to not take the LED install at the church, right? So I can make money on that. I can do that. Hey, we're slow at that time. But you can de-emphasize that work so that you put your energy in the work that will get you the highest yield and the best return on your effort. Which brings me to the strategy formula. So strategy is engineering what you want to happen based on what you think will happen, right? Look at all these businesses you're in. Look at all these lines of business. Look at all these customers and all these channels. What do you think is going to happen with them? Okay. Something good, something bad? Can we change our trajectory so that we get a better outcome? And that's what strategy is all about. If you think the event business is going to increase, then why not do something to get more of that business? Gain some market share. If you think that your agencies are going to lose business, then maybe we need to focus on end customers, right? And this is strategy. There are 4 questions that when I'm doing strategic alignment conversations, I'm helping my clients get their bearings strategically. There's 4 questions I want to discuss. The first question is, what business are you in? Okay. How do you make money? What business are you in? How do you make money at it? Who are your customers? What are your values? Those are the 4 questions. Why are you in business? Tell me why you're in business. Well, I want to make some money. Well, okay, but you're not making money. So why are you in business? There's some other reason you're in business. So a more fundamental way of looking at why you're in business, because we all want to make money, is when do you want to make money? Are you in business now to build equity so that you can maybe have an exit strategy or succession plan many years down the road? Are you in business? Do you make money at it by generating cash that you take out now and invest elsewhere, put it into retirement, help run other businesses, whatever it might be? Are you in some sort of financial play? Are you, is this part of a private equity roll-up? Okay. Why are you in business? To create more equity so that we can sell the company again. So there's a lot of reasons to be in business, but most of my clients don't know. We're mostly accidental entrepreneurs. So we're really in that buy and hold mentality, is that we're going to build a business and we're going to figure out why we're in business later. Well, let's figure out why you're in business now, because that will dramatically affect what the right strategy is. And if you need to be in the business of generating cash to invest elsewhere versus hoping that your equity will be worth what you want it to be down the road, that changes how we run our businesses. Now, how do you make money at your business? That's another question. Again, if you have multiple lines of business, each line of business makes money a little bit differently. So we have to dial that in. It's not about revenue. It's about gross profit. What's the best way for you to generate gross profit? Okay. What's the best way for you to maintain the right level of overhead so your net profit is optimized? And this is how you make money. This is the questions that we need to ask. Who are my customers? Do I have too many customers? Who are my ideal customers? Which will lead to, how do I reach them? How do I market to them? How do I price for them? How do I retain them? How do I find more? Right? And then here's the big one. What are my values? Your values is who you want to be along the way. You're on a journey. What do you want to be remembered for? These are your values. These are the things that are not negotiable. This is how we're going to do business. And you have to be crystal clear on that, because we don't want a strategic solution that takes us away from one of our values. We don't want a solution. We don't want to embrace a value that conflicts with how we make money. So these things all come into consideration. Now, If we can sort those questions out, narrow our focus a little bit, now we can focus on what it is that's going to have the best impact for our business. If we know what our strategy is, how can I improve things? What's it going to look like 5 years from now? What do I need to do to be there? What do I need to emphasize? What do I need to de-emphasize? If that sounds interesting to you, if that would help you clear up some noise, then I have a recommendation. My next Jumpstart event will be in Dallas in November 20 and 21. The main day is on the 21st in Dallas, November 21st, 2024. Sign up now. Registration's open. We're going to talk about management and strategy. We're going to talk to you, the owners, and your management team about how to be better managers in a strategically balanced and scalable organization. What does your organization need to look like? How do you measure success? How do we divide up all these lines of business and optimize the ones we need, de-emphasize the ones that we don't? Okay. And then what is your long-term strategy and how can your team help you manifest that? Now, if that doesn't sound valuable to you, I don't know how else to help you, because this is probably the most valuable thing I do in my business. So take a look at Jumpstart, sign up. I hope to see you there. If you got any questions, reach out to me, visit my site, trstimson.com/jumpstart, to learn more. See you in Dallas. If you want to find out more about today's episode, go to trstimson.com/podcast, where you'll find the show notes, related links, and tons of other valuable resources. If you haven't already subscribed to the Intentional Success Podcast, please do so, and I'd greatly appreciate if you would rate and review the show. Also, if you think you might be a good fit to work together or want more information about the Stimson Group, I'd love to hear from you. Visit trstimson.com for more information.